get the echo. It's gonna kill in a minute. Ready? Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This time we'll have Pastor Johnny H. Williams. He's the pastor of Stanfield New Life Christian Church, Mount Pilgrim of Freetown Baptist Church, and Greater Mount Lebanon Missionary Baptist Church. Pastor, would you please?
Let's pray. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this time. We thank you for this meeting. We thank you for this board as they acknowledge you in this prayer and this time that prepare for business. We pray that you'll continue to lead and guide them. We thank you for your shields of protection around this city. We thank you for those that have come together to continue to produce excellence and continue to do the things that bring Vicksburg in a great light. We thank you now, Father, that as they continue to be productive and bring glory to you, we'll continue to always give you praise in all that we do. We thank you for this great city, all in authority, and the spirit of excellence that's on this board. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. This time, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the agenda.
There a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we adopt the agenda. Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion so carries. Mr. Secretary, are you on? If not, we will.
I am.
Oh, thank you. I sure was about to dispense real quick. You're up, Mr. Secretary.
Seems like a little bit of a lag. So we have presented before you, board members, the minutes from our last board meeting. If you would, if there are any additions or deletions to the minutes.
No, sir.
Seeing as none, I make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second motion.
It's been moved and properly second that we approve the minutes. Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion so carries. At this time, I will turn the agenda over to Mr. Attorney, Attorney Hobson. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. This time on the agenda is the election of officers. And I will entertain a motion from any of the members to nominate a president at this time.
I would like to make a motion to nominate James Sturgis Jr. for president.
Nomination from Coach Stevens for James Sturgis as president of the board. Is there a second?
A second
Second.
motion.
Second from Mrs. Bullard. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Next, we'll have a motion, I'll entertain a motion for vice president. Well, Mr. President, you can take back over at this point.
Yes, sir.
Unless you would like me to continue.
Please,
Okay.
you're doing a great job.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next motion will be for vice president of the board.
Alternative Hobson, I'd like to make a nomination for Ms. Sally Bullock for vice
Motion for
president.
Motion from Coach Stevens to nominate Mrs. Sally Bullard as the vice president of the board. Is there a second?
Second by Sturgis.
Second by Slayton. Can I get Slayton first?
Yes,
On
sir.
that?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Mr.
sir.
President, Kimball Slayton makes the second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Next, we will entertain a motion to nominate the secretary of the board.
Mr. Attorney, I'd like to make a motion that we nominate Mr. Bryant.
Okay. Motion is from Coach Stevens to nominate Mr. Brian Pratt as the secretary of the board. Is there a second?
Second, Sturgis.
Second from Mr. Sturgis. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. The ayes have it. So the slate of officers for the remainder of 2020 and the first part of 2021 will be Mr. Sturgis, President, Mrs. Bullard, Vice President, and Mr. Pratt, Secretary. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Mr. Shealy, before I turn this over to you, I must do one thing, because Sally did remind me, and I want to thank you for that, Sally. I know that the ladies and young men at Sherman Avenue are doing a fantastic job, but I have to speak for Dana Road. They're doing an awesome job out at Dana Road, so my hat's off to the cafeteria workers, to the volunteers, and to the bus drivers at Dana Road. You all are doing a yeoman's work for little of nothing. Some of you all are volunteering, and the kids are beginning to really find out that we are coming by and dropping off food to them. But my hat's off to Dana Road. And Sherman, don't get mad at me. I just don't work at Sherman. But Dana Road, you're on top of it, and I want to say thank you very much. So with that, Mr. Superintendent, I ask you for your report, please.
All right. Well, had a couple Zoom calls this week that were pretty important. One was with our Thought Exchange partnership, and there was about 25 superintendents from all over the United States. Was able to kind of, talk through and share where we are. And oddly, it shouldn't shock me, but it continues to shock me that there are tons of districts out there that don't have the ability to do the online instruction that we're able to do. They don't have the access to the internet, don't have the devices or solutions. So again, it was great to be able to share with them. Gary Bailey actually hosted one earlier today, and it had the state superintendent, and I think it was a total of 100 people that were on the call. We were able to kind of talk through some of the things we're doing here and listen to what's going on across the state. MDE met, and they had some, and I kind of wanted to give you some updates on their decisions for some waivers. And I know there were some questions out there that we had last time about seniors and who tests and who doesn't test. And so those answers came in today. And what we're looking at is your graduation group. Those students who are currently either first semester or second semester in a 4x4 do not have to take or pass the subject area assessment. So those kids who have it on their schedule currently will graduate as long as they do the coursework, and they have what they need and met the minimum requirements for graduation. But the test has been canceled. That does include the third grade reading gate. That's all assessment. So those will not be in effect this year. Another one was high school graduation requirements. They got some flexibilities, and we're going to review all of our policies to make sure if any of those need to be adjusted, they can be, because they gave y'all the authority to be able to do that. Some of the questions of retesters, that was taken off the table. If you were scheduled to test again this year, that will not be holding you back. So they really came through with seat time waivers, the forgiveness of the time that we're off during this declaration time where it is a state of emergency. Those days will not have to be made up. So it was a good call. I think again, we're learning a little bit as we go. The online solution that we've got has been augmented by a lot of teachers. They've gone out there and started putting information to add to. We were even contacted by grade results afterwards, and now they're getting IEP updates, and they're able to load things in there. In addition to that, a lot of the teachers are just showing up and doing amazing things, and I'm just so impressed with them. And I know y'all saw the videos that we put out. We're going to work with the communications team to set some standard times for those to roll out. We got a plan for some student leadership opportunities within that too. So we're real excited. We have eerily, this has been a lot smoother than I expected. So The one thing that the state superintendent did bring up today, and there isn't a definite answer on whether school will continue or not. She didn't give any feedback where they stood on that, and did not know how the accountability will be affected moving forward. And when you consider that there's so many components within that accountability model that are banked, graduation, for example, is 2 years out. From our standpoint, I guess it's good that we don't have that worry. The other side of that is this was a really good year for us. So inside that, we don't know what those answers will look like. The other thing that she told us is that we would have new federal money that would be coming, and it was designed to pay for infrastructure and technology equipment. We've gotten to the point where we're about to roll our Chromebooks over, so this came at a good time for us. So we're anxious to see what that money would look like, but she said that that should be coming soon. And those would be in grant applications. And those should, I'll give y'all feedback as soon as we can. So other than that, unless y'all have any individual questions about what we're doing during this time, it seems to be working.
There's no questions, Mr. Superintendent.
All right.
Is that the conclusion of your report, sir?
Oh, yes,
Can
sir.
we
That's
put
all
out
I
and
got.
publicize a number there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear y'all now. There seems to be, for people that are not English speaking or that are having trouble getting following some of the parents that are using some of the equipment at home. Is there a way that we can publish a number for them to call if they're having difficulties, maybe the central office or their school? Can we somehow put that on the website? I've been contacted by two Spanish speaking that are having trouble understanding the instructions and on how to get the child's equipment to work at home.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Yeah, we'll take care of
All
that,
right.
Brian.
Did you hear that, Brian?
Brian?
Okay.
He'll be back on, I'm sure.
You back, Brian?
Okay, let's move on.
Okay. Once Brian checks back in, we'll tell him that it's Mr. Campbell will take care of it. Are we going to, on G1, we're going to skip G1, or are we going to call in Gary?
Gary is online.
Oh,
He's-
okay.
He's muted. And
Gary,
Yes, sir.
you're up, sir.
Can y'all hear me okay?
We hear
Yes.
you.
We hear you.
Yes.
Okay, good. You should have your monthly report in front of you. I will try to do it in an abbreviated format and only talk about some critical issues. Vicksburg High School, thank God, the water is owned. The city has worked that out. There was a lot of give and take and a lot of things happening. But it is owned. The new construction was ready for move-in until the coronavirus stopped that from happening. That's turned out to be a godsend from a construction point of view, because now the contractors are able to work in the remaining portions of the building and get ahead of the schedule in some areas. So we're having to coordinate with the district to get some furniture moved, but Bill's been great to work with on that, as has principals, and we're trying to get contractor access to some more areas. Nothing new on the athletics phase one. We'll be scheduling the track work depending upon the completion of the phase two athletics. As you know, at Vicksburg High School, that contractor had been held off because of the water line issue and the drainage. that seems to have greatly slowed down since the water line was repaired. There's just some small leakage, and the soil testing company is investigating all of that to make sure it's safe for the contractor to proceed with that work. Once we have an update of schedule on that, of course, we'll share that with all of you. The athletics phase 2 at Warren Central, if you've been by there, has made major progress. The toilets concessions building is getting a roof on it, bricks going up. The slab for the ninth grade locker room has been poured. Renovation of the field house is continuing. The press box demolition has been completed, and they've got it framed up and new construction done. The home bleachers are being fabricated, and one of the things that we've got to work on is that we had specified a sample for that to be viewed before we approve shop drawings. We may have to talk to the administration about expediting that because of the delays in fabrication. And I really make that as a general comment for all the projects, is that the coronavirus is now impacting construction. Many suppliers have shut down depending upon where they are located. A couple of the subcontractors have reduced their staff to avoid contamination of people being too close to each other. So that's something we're closely monitoring, and we'll obviously update you as soon as we have any information on schedules. Warren Central High School project is also taking advantage of the downtime and working in areas that they previously were not allowed to work. They are continually hampered by the major delays they had in rain, but they're working very hard. They're also coordinating with the other contractors for the athletics project to work wherever they can work. AOI, if you've been by there, the sheathing has started going up on the exterior of the building. You can really get a good view of what the form of the building is starting to look like. No hang-ups there at all. Beechwood renovations are making good progress. I think everyone is aware that the baseball lights at Warren Central are substantially complete. They still have some drainage and correction of some dirt work to do in the outfield outside the fence. The intermediate school re-roofs, they're about 50% with the tear off at Sherman, and Dana Road is about 20%, so they're making progress. The junior highs are making major progress. If you've been by Vicksburg Junior High, you've seen that the demolition is really further than 70%, as it shows. They've demolished almost all of that whole building that had to come down. They still have some retaining walls to take down, and they're doing major work inside. Warren Central Junior High, major work continues to be done inside. They've got some utility issues that have to be corrected and moved before they can proceed with the new construction. Bovana is making good progress. They're also benefiting from the shutdown. The building pad is installed and foundation's done. They're working throughout. One of the issues that we're having to coordinate is that there is some existing asbestos there that we are recommending to go over and not remove because it is stable and in good shape. So I'll update you more on that at the next board meeting. There's no action that needs to be taken by the board at this time. At South Park, the foundations are underway. The interior work is started. Bomar, we had the pre-construction meeting on site. The contractor is ready to blow and go there, and coordinating with the principal. Everybody's being very cooperative. So again, taking advantage of the time that we have. The phase 2 at Beechwood has been awarded, and the pre-con has been held on that. So that contractor is ready to mobilize and get on site, and they've kind of got a can-do attitude. The Warrenton and Redwood projects are out for bid. The bid date is April the 21st. There were some questions and concerns expressed by a couple of people as whether we need to hold off on that project due to the virus. I am of the opinion right now that contractors need work, so I'm saying we proceed with bidding. If for some reason there's a problem in that bidding process, then we can always reject those bids and reconsider after April 21st, but no additional action is required there. I think you have on your agenda one action item for Warren Central Phase 2 athletics. If you want me to wait and discuss it on that item, I can do that.
No, go
Any
ahead, sir.
questions?
Yes, sir, go ahead and you can.
Okay, I'll go.
With the change order.
Okay, I'll go ahead with the recommendation there. One of the issues that came up in coordinating between Phase 1 and Phase 2 was that there's some drainage issues where the track on the home side intersects with the home bleachers. And we had taken some credits for Phase 1, but failed to coordinate that with Phase 2. All of that to say there's some additional drainage that needs to be done that drains the area between the track and the bleachers so that there's no water coming off of the bleachers onto the track. You have in front of you a request for construction change directive to Alliant Construction for $48,718.43. This is well within the contingency allowance built into the contract, but since it's over $15,000, it does require board approval. And we have verified the prices and feel that they're very fair, and the work definitely needs to be done.
Mr. Bailey, may I?
Any questions on that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Bailey.
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Bailey?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have just a couple of questions. You may have answered them in what you just said, but I want to make sure that I get a clear understanding, and either the attorney or David or Chad or Sally can kind of help me out and let me know where. This is under the home bleachers is what you said. My question is.
It's in front of the home bleachers.
Is it a puddle of water? Or does that water just settle there? Is there a drain there? Or how deep does the water get? Is it at the end or is it in the center of the bleachers?
Okay, let me try to answer that. There's about a 3-foot area between the face of the bleachers and the track, and it's relatively flat, Mr. Sturgis, so that some water would stand if we did nothing at this point. The bigger issue is that water from the home bleachers cascades off of the bleachers onto this area. So the alternative we had discussed is just putting a sidewalk there and letting that water flow onto the track, which would ultimately flow into the football field drainage system. The problem is that you get all kinds of debris from football games that could flow into there. You have potentially contaminants that might impact the quality of the track. So it's good practice to not have any more water flowing over the track than is coming from rain above.
So there's no drain there already?
There is not. That was something that just wasn't picked up when we coordinated Phase 1 and 2. It was never included in the work.
Gary, this is Kimball. Is this replacing that great drain that was there, that was below the fence on the west side of the track?
The west end is okay. It's all along the south end of the home bleachers.
Okay.
Brian,
Go ahead, Mr. Attorney.
can you,
Brian had a question.
Brian's got a question. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so why was this not caught? I'm kind of confused as to why this was not caught. We're having to pay for it. Just kind of, that's what we pay people to catch these things. And unless we ran into a pipe that wasn't in the ground or we didn't know where it was and something that couldn't be foreseen, this should have been covered, correct?
Well, it's a mistake in that we didn't cover it. If we had seen it before, it would have been in the project. It's just it wasn't addressed, and it was a mistake on our behalf in not catching it.
Well, my opinion is I don't want garbage going across our new track.
I agree.
So,
Ray's had a question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Attorney.
Gary, if you could hear me, one of the things I heard you mention earlier in the report is that the stadium bleachers on the home side were not ready because of the fabrication issue. And I just want to make sure that if the board does this, will it matter, let me ask it this way, will it matter whether it's the new stands or the old stands? Is that going to affect this drainage issue?
Hey, speaking of Mike.
No, sir, it does not impact.
Did you hear the
The drainage issue has nothing to do with the bleachers. I heard you, Briggs, I got it. The drainage has nothing to do with the bleacher construction. The potential delays from the manufacturer on the bleachers is not relevant to the drainage issue.
Gary, did you say this is Alliant Contractors?
Yes.
All right, I make a motion that we accept the change order in the amount of $48,718.43 for the drainage issue at Warren Central, awarded to Alliant Contractors.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the change order at Warren Central for the bleachers, under the bleachers with the drainage. Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion so carries.
Mr. Chairman, if I could clarify one item, it's not an add to the contract, it's within the cost of the contract, so you're just approving the change via the contingency fund.
Okay. Thank you. Do you
That's
have
all I
anything
had,
else?
unless you have other questions for me.
Do we have any more questions for Mr. Bailey before he leaves? No, sir, that's all we have. Thank you very much.
I'm going to mute and stay around if you need me for anything else.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have our financial report. Ms. Burks? Hello, Ms. Burks.
Ms. Burke?
Unmute.
Uh-oh.
You're
There
still
you
on
go.
mute.
There you go.
You're on
Okay.
mute.
There we go.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Since I'm following behind Gary, I'll go right into the spreadsheet that I left you guys. Just a quick update on the financial position with the construction project. Last month, I promised you guys that I'll start giving you a report from time to time, letting you know where we are from our books with the construction projects, let you know what the funding and payments and all of those things. So if you look at that spreadsheet, you'll see across the board each project that's listed by funding source, the amount of money that we were able to get financed for those projects minus the closing costs, plus, and it shows you in column, the last column, yellow column, you'll see total project funding available. So looking at that, you'll see that we ended up with a total project cost funding available of $146 million. And when you compare that to our budget right now with construction budget based on what Bailey has now, we're at $145 million. And that is contingent upon the rest of the projects being built. That number may change based on what the projects that are left to be bid comes in at. If they come in lower, then this number will go down. If they come in higher, that number will go up. Then the variance will show you where we are per project, and overall, you'll see that I think Gary mentioned last board meeting that we were under budget. So if you look at the total of that 1.4 project, comparing the 145 to the 146.4, then it shows you where that $1.4 million is coming from. Okay, and if you go back over to the green column where it says paid to date, that shows that we have spent $55.4 million on construction projects as of the end of February, leaving $91 million left in construction projects. Okay. Any questions before I move to my actual financial report?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So going into Going into my actual financial report. January 2020 bank reconciliation is, you will see that we've reconciled our 2020 bank accounts. You'll see for several of the accounts, there's reconciling items over there. We're still working to identify those reconciling items and get those cleared on our books. And as we do that, I'll bring those back to you with showing no reconciling differences. Moving on to the statement of cash flow. This was the month, February was the month we got our largest ad valorem. So you'll see that our revenue is $21.5 million we received this month in revenue. But we only spent $6.4 million this month, so they kind of put us back in line with where we would normally be with our fund balance. So if you come down and you look at our total revenue, we at the level, the 12% level that we've allocated, said that this is where we basically need to be from month to month to meet our operational expenses. We're still well above that. So based on where we are now, we are at least $20 million currently over that required amount, which means that we have more than enough to carry us through the rest of the year. Moving on to our statement of expenditures by fund. You'll see that 11/20 we have available balance of $22.5 million, and we've spent 65.4% of our total budget expenditures. And if you continue down, you'll see that for the expenditures, you'll see that it has a negative $42 million as a balance. That is not a true balance. We have not added the budget in there for the construction projects. Once we add the budget for the construction project, that number will not be that low. And you'll notice that there's a $60.75 million encumbrance. That is POs that we've set up so that we can continue to keep the buildings and all other stuff coming in for the construction project. We don't want to slow anything down, so we basically set up POs for based on the budget that we've gotten from Dale Bailey for these projects, so that as things come through for us to pay, we don't have to go back and waste time doing a purchase order. Okay. Moving to our statement of revenue. 11/20, our district maintenance, we are 72.3% base of our total collections for the year. And if we move down to total revenue, we're 83. We've collected 83% of our budgeted revenue for the year. All right. So moving on to our statement of fund balance. So if you see 11/20 fund balance, you'll see the 27.966 million that I showed you in our statement of cash flow. So that shows that our books are balanced into our statement, our fund balance statement. And if you go to the bottom, you will see the total fund balance, including budget for construction projects and all, that we're still looking at a fund balance of $127 million. Again, that is inclusive of all of the construction projects. The computer's moving slower than I am. Okay, so moving on to our alarm. Give me a second. My computer's frozen up on me. Sorry. Different way.
We do.
Yeah,
Ms. Burks?
I'll have you.
If you're having problems with
Yeah,
your
my
computer,
computer
if you're having
can't
problems with
visit
your,
with you.
Ms. Burks, if you're having problems with the computer, you've given us copies of.
Yes.
So if you're having problems, we can kind of speed this up for you.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, you do go
I
ahead.
make a motion that we, approve the
Accept.
financial report, accept the financial report.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept the financial report. Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion so carries. Thank you, Ms. Burks. That's it.
Thank you.
Where are we? Okay, we're down to I. Are there any items that need to be pulled? Are there any items need to be pulled? Seeing though,
Mr. President, I like, J1.
J1? J1. Okay. Do we have any other items need to be pulled? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of J1.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we approve the consent agenda. Are there any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion so carries. Coach, J1.
J1, I guess Mr. Campbell, Dr. McGee, I'm just looking at the separation of employment. And I'm just curious, looking at the Sherman, in a time where we are in right now that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I don't know, maybe it's, moving out of what, but is it anything that's coming up that 5, separation of employment?
Separation.
1, 2, 3, 4,
I see, I'm
5.
sorry.
Yeah, and I'm just curious because, if they're good teachers and, we're losing that many in a building at once, might be just, moving on. Anybody, I know they do a exit, right? They do an exit thing. Did anything come up that was, something that was said to them that they felt that they wasn't being treated right by the district, or they were just looking on to move on with the family, whatever?
I don't have the specifics
Well,
on these teachers. I do know that a lot of our teachers, if they have a one-year license, will have to resign until it is renewed.
Right,
And,
It's that 1 year thing.
right. Yes,
and some of those could be, but that's
Right.
just speculation at this point, but I definitely can find out for you.
okay.
So they could have been
And-
ones that got emergency 1 year license and they
Yeah.
didn't finish the coursework to be
Right,
able to
yeah.
get the,
They just
Correct.
wanted to get the file.
because they have to correct do the
Right.
coursework to get the 3
Yes,
years.
yeah. So being that, result, I'd like to make a motion that we accept J1.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we approve J1. Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion so carries. This time we at L1, 16th section. Do we have anyone?
Ms. Burke, you have anything you need to say about 16th section?
Yes, sir. The first one, the 16th section is upcoming payments report. There's no action needed on that. That is just for the board's FYI. But we do have an action item for timber sale, and you should have the bid tabulation sheet in your packet.
Yes.
Okay, we're recommending that the board accept bid number 2 from Good Hope.
Okay, bid number 2.
Ms. Burks, can you explain
Yes, sir.
the differences in the bid items? I was looking at this last night, and looks like bid number 1 is just a flat bid of $4 per ton, and then you have these itemized bids and these others. What is the difference?
Well, yes, sir. The bid number 1, they only bid on the pine timber. They didn't bid on any of the other timber. That's why you only see that one amount.
Okay, that clears it up. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
With that in mind, I'll make a motion that we accept bid number 2 for timber sale in favor of Good Hope Land and Timber Management.
Second.
There's a motion to approve bid number 2, timber sale. Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign.
Aye.
Motion so carries. Do we have anything else, Ms. Burks? That's all you have, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Dr. McGee?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
In light of Governor Reed's declaration of state of emergency, which declares schools to remain closed through at least April 17th,
Yes, sir.
there's no new data on our school improvement plans at this time.
And Dr. McGee, I want to thank you too for giving me that information on the other schools that are doing the school improvement.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Hey, in addition to that, one of the board approvals from MDE is that everyone stays what they were. So if they were a TSI, ATSI, and they extend those timeframes for a year. So there won't be any more updates at this time.
Thank you.
Mr. Sturgis, can I bring something up while we're still in
Yes, sir.
in the 16th section L unit here? There's a neighbor to our 16th section up around Eagle Lake that is requesting a drainage easement onto 16th section school property to remove a small amount of water. I mean, he can't do anything now because everything's flooded, but once the water goes down, they built a levee. I'll just give you this explanation real quick. They built a levee down the side of a field to keep water from going onto our 16th section, to hold it to where they could farm it, hunt it, whatever they're doing with it. Well, they want the ability to pump that water down so they can plant it. And then and as the water comes up to a certain level, they'll just pump it over the levee. So the levee's not really, I mean, the levee's keeping the water off of us. We're a big hole up there anyway. We're the pond. So it's not hurting, in my opinion, it's not hurting the district's land at all for them to discharge a little bit of water. It's about maybe a 20 acre corner of a field.
Yes, sir.
That literally, I think, I can calculate a volume of water if y'all need it, but I don't know, or he can. But that request has come in that we offer him a drainage easement, and I spoke with council about it, and we kind of both feel that if we did it on a temporary basis, to where we do it for a year and see if it impacted the property in any way. There's been a lot of manipulation of land up there with the flooding last year and all this, and this is just a byproduct of all that. So, do we need to?
I would think the thing to do is probably see if he can get you like he being the landowner that wants to move it, see if he can get you more specifics about limits, amount of water, and then let's have a formal presentation to the board to vote on whether
Okay.
Let's put the obligation of burden on him to say what exactly he wants and put limitations on it that you think, or that you and I can discuss it. You understand land pretty well, but it's a little too open-ended, just say, pump on our land right now. I think we need to put
Right.
some specific limitations. But I do agree with everything that Mr. Slayton said. We're the low spot in that area. And whether that affects anything, I think we need to make sure it doesn't affect our timber, and does not affect anybody else that's leasing our property up there. But if it's not, I see it being a big deal.
Brian, did you hear that? Okay.
Brian?
Brian, did you hear that? You hear Briggs? Okay, what Briggs just said, for those that are not here, that I'll instruct the landowner to offer us a formal proposal, and with quantities and also limits and a few other things that are gonna be associated with this drainage easement, and we'll make action on it later.
Thank you, Mr. Slayton. Before we adjourn, I'd like to thank everyone for allowing me to be president again and me tagging along with Sally and Brian. I appreciate that very much. And with that, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
So be. Thank you very much.